How did I get from this to this? First of all, you gotta be smooth. Can we edit that out? Okay, cool, thanks. So here's how I did it. Alright, let me take you back to a really cool part of Nike SB Dunk history. Before they allowed official co-branding and removing the soul of the brand. Back in the day, if Nike wanted to take design cues from another brand, they just did it. They didn't ask nobody, and most of the time, they got away with it. Now, one time during this era where we know they did approach the brand, New Line Cinema, and the Freddy Dunk, New Line Cinema said no, but the cat was already out of the bag. I think if they just kept their mouth shut and not say anything about how this is a Freddy Dunk, it would have been released as a normal GR and not be a $20,000 shoe covered in oil. But I digress. But otherwise, they would do these colorways without asking anyone's permission. And they would never officially say that the shoe design was taken from that brand. For example, the Heineken Dunk was not called the Heineken Dunk, but everyone called it the Heineken Dunk because it was clearly the Heineken Dunk. But when Heineken caught wind of this, the most they could do is get the eBay listings referencing their brand taken down. The Newcastle Dunk is another example. This is an ale from England. The branding has a big blue star surrounded by 1930s wartime font with red letters over a gold background. Now, the Newcastle is a grail shoe. It is an expensive aftermarket shoe. It could be somewhere in the 4 figures, condition pending. I've seen plenty below 1,000 though. Now this pair...
I was watching me and my mom watching this movie, and this man kicked him. But the man I was gonna try to punch him, he kicked him down on the ground. When he was gonna kick him, I was on the ground. You know what he did? He kicked him in the penis. He was injured. Injured bad.
They were injured. They were injured bad. I wasn't sure if it was even worth a sole swap because the upper was in such bad shape. But I decided to do it because sneaker restorers, this is what we do. We preserve sneaker history. This size 8.5 dunk that most people would think is just trash, I'm taking it upon myself to bring it back on the streets, back on someone's feet, and that starts with a sole swap. Now, during my initial unboxing, the first thing I noticed was how faded they were. And I was like,
stop it. Get some help.
The upper was completely separated from the outsole. The first step I like to take is grab the laces and insoles and any other accessories that might be on the shoe and put them in a Ziploc and label it. Excellent handwriting, I know. Now my technique for removing the outsole only requires a small hook tool. There's a set of them in my Amazon store in the description below. If you're interested in learning this technique, check out the short at the top of the screen. And now the controversial part that I think needs to be put to bed. They don't make this color outsole on any other dunks. So I had to use a rep. The rep outsole is the same quality as the retail one. So in these situations, you just have to look at them like aftermarket parts. One thing I did notice is the thread was thinner on this rep. Just something to note if you're trying to legit check. Okay, so before I deal with the old glue, I sometimes like to put the OG foam pad inside the shoe first to give it a nice backbone. Always start with a new X-Acto bleed. It makes the job easier, protects the upper and your fingers. I started an initial suede cleaning, but I pretty much knew I was gonna have to wet these to get them clean. Not my favorite thing to do with suede. But when the stains are this old and this many, you don't really have a choice. I used hot water and Castile soap, and I keep the shoes submerged for a few hours. When you do this, you have to give the shoes a couple days to air dry before you can continue working on them. So make sure you got your Sudoku book, your Nintendo Switch, practice your jujitsu, whatever you do to pass the time. After the shoes were clean, the next step was to re-dye the brown nubuck. This was difficult. A very unique goldish brown color was what I'm after, and it's not something that you can buy in the shelves. Now, when I was applying some to test, that's what I thought I was getting. But the way it dried, no good. I removed the tape on one and compared it to a stock photo, and I was like, nah, let me tape this again. My next step was to try to give it a tint in a browner direction so it stopped looking like a damn cowboy hat. Checked again. When it dried, it looked like a damn bread loaf. So, third time's a charm. I mixed Angelus Brown with cream. If you follow the instructions on the bottle, you'll end up putting in a lot of textile medium for your mix to stick to fabric. I use these pill bottles for mixing my paint that I get from a local mom and pop pharmacy. The reason I love these for paint mixes is these dual tops that allow you to screw the cap in to keep air out for liquids. Obviously, you want to clean these before you use them for paint. I'm measuring out 10:1 neutral suede dye to paint mix ratio. And I finally got the color I was looking for. Then I mixed for that unique goldish color. The way I mix colors is not an exact science. I do the base color and try to see the different tints and hues and recreate them. If the color isn't a special color like a neon or a metallic, then you can most likely get it with just the 3 primary colors and white and black paint. The foam pad needs to fit into the new outsole, so I make sure that the bottom of it is on the bed of the new outsole and not pushing on any of the corners.
You know, if you step on a crack, you'll break your mama's back. What?
That's an old superstition.
Huh?
It's an old superstition. Do you know what a superstition is? It's like something that's made up that people believe that you need to do in order to have good luck or you get bad luck from. So, step on a crack, break your mom's back. That was probably made up in the cities, like probably New York City, when the kids were walking to and from school to pass the time. You like that fatherly wisdom? I have no idea if that's true, but it sounded good. You want to roughen up the material under the glue line for a good bond, but I'm starting to think that maybe a Dremel is too much. The next few videos, I'll still be using a Dremel because of the backlog of content that needs to be edited, but lately, I've just been using 60 grit sandpaper and being light with it. You know, it took a lot of sanding after dyeing using the acrylic medium dye mix. The materials harden probably worse than it does with just water damage, but I haven't figured out a way to get the correct color on there otherwise. And it's still better than just painting over suede and nubuck like those snake oil sneaker cleaner salesmen do. If you want to learn the full steps to a proper glue job, please check out the comprehensive guide in the top right of the screen. Craftspeople should always be evolving, always learning. I wanted to love this glue called Renia. It is water-based, there is no odor, but after using it a handful of times, came to the conclusion that this glue is really made for a commercial setting. Temperature controlled conveyors, hydraulic shoe press machines, they're best suited for this kind of glue. The temperature control issue and the pressure required is too much for a small shop like mine. It takes 10 times as long to make a bond. Getting the glue hot enough will sometimes start to shrink the foam inside the outsole, and the pressure you need to apply is too much to be doing over and over and over. So I'm back on Barge Infinity. My favorite part of the whole reglue process is using the hand crank cobbler sewing machine. Best $300 I ever spent. If you don't know how to use a stitching awl, check out this video on the top right. If you want to learn more about this $300 cobbler hand crank sewing machine, check out the video in the top left.